Ever feel like you're just swimming in information?
Yeah.
Constantly scrolling, but maybe not feeling truly informed.
Oh, definitely. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, and that's pretty much why we started the deep dive. We try to cut through all that noise, pull out the key stuff, and help you get smart fast.
A shortcut to the good stuff.
Exactly. So today we're diving into Chris R. Velazquez's upcoming book, From Seed to Harvest, Building Churches That Last, Grow, and Multiply.
Right.
Now, hold on. Before you think this is maybe just for a niche audience.
Yeah.
Yes, it's about church planting, but honestly, the strategies Velazquez lays out, they're like a blueprint.
They really are. It's about community development, sustainability.
Spot on. How movements actually scale and last. It's got wider applications for sure.
And Chris Velazquez, he's not just an academic thinking about this stuff. He's lived it.
25 years.
Yeah, a quarter century as a missionary pastor in the Philippines, deeply involved in training, mobilizing, actually planting churches globally.
So these insights are like field-tested, hard-won.
Absolutely. Forged in the real world, dealing with real challenges.
Okay, so our mission for you listening is this.
Yeah.
We want to unpack the book's main idea, why Velazquez argues sustainable church planting is, well, maybe the most effective strategy for global impact. And crucially, we'll highlight the actual tools and insights he offers, stuff you could potentially apply, whether you're building a community group, a nonprofit, whatever kind of movement needs to last.
Practical takeaways.
Exactly. So let's jump in. We hear a lot about big goals writing, but Velazquez throws a bit of a curveball early on in the preface.
He does. It's quite a statement.
He says, "The greatest danger to the Great Commission is not opposition, it's stagnation." Now, the Great Commission, for context, is that biblical idea of spreading a message globally.
Right. Building communities worldwide.
So saying stagnation is the biggest threat, not enemies or obstacles, that's provocative. What's he really getting at there? Why is that idea so critical?
It's such a key insight, and it applies way beyond just church work. He calls stagnation this silent threat.
Silent. Why silent?
Because it often looks like comfort,
Oh.
or just routine. It's like this organizational inertia that just slowly, quietly kills the energy.
Okay.
He says it breeds complacency. People lose that initial fire. And it really limits multiplication if all your energy is just maintaining what you have.
You're not starting anything new.
Exactly. You risk becoming irrelevant because you're not adapting, not connecting. And maybe the biggest thing, it feeds dependency.
Dependency. How so?
The group becomes inward-looking, relying on maybe outside funding or leadership instead of sparking its own life, its own self-sufficiency. So yeah, it's not the external fight that gets you, it's the internal.
Right. Yeah.
Just stopping, standing still.
Wow. Okay. That idea of the enemy being internal complacency, not external pressure, that's powerful. And the book contrasts this pretty sharply, right? It talks about the early church in the book of Acts.
Yeah, a huge contrast. He points to their explosive growth.
So how was their approach different? Was it really about movement over just maintenance?
Absolutely. Velazquez argues they weren't, primarily focused on polishing the pews or perfecting programs inside existing walls.
Right.
It was dynamic, always expanding, adapting, more like an organism than a static institution.
And he points to reasons why stagnation happens today, things that might sound familiar.
Oh, yeah. Very common pitfalls. Things like comfort and familiarity, getting too attached to how things have always been done.
Sure.
Leadership burnout is a big one. Leaders just get worn down maintaining the status quo.
I can see that.
Where resources go time, money often gets funneled into existing stuff, not pioneering new things.
Right, the path of least resistance.
Exactly. And even just societal pressure, maybe favoring stability over the kind of, radical obedience the early movement often required.
Okay, this leads us nicely into how Velazquez seems to redefine success then. If it's not just about more people, bigger buildings. What is the real measure of impact he's pointing towards? It feels like a different goal altogether.
It really is. He focuses on something he calls the reproducibility focus. That's the key.
Reproducibility.
Yeah. For Velazquez, success is defined squarely by reproducibility. Are your communities, your organizations, not just growing, but actively training, releasing new leaders?
In starting new groups.
And starting entirely new self-sustaining groups or branches.
Yes.
It's about creating a model that can actually replicate itself.
Okay. And he grounds this in some core principles.
He does.
Wow.
3 main ones from Scripture, but you can see how they'd apply broadly. First, this idea of the priesthood of all believers.
Meaning everyone's involved.
Basically, yeah, every participant is empowered, equipped, has a role to play, isn't just a spectator. Second, leadership development and multiplication.
Like training the trainers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Investing in people who will then invest in others, constantly building capacity for expansion. And third, what he calls incarnational ministry.
Incarnational.
Meaning the mission, the message, has to really take root in the local culture. It has to become indigenous, relatable, not something foreign that's just dropped in.
Got it. So if reproducibility is the goal,
Yeah.
what does that mean in the real world? How does focusing on that help avoid those dependency traps you mentioned earlier? That's a problem for lots of projects, right?
Oh, absolutely critical for long-term health. This focus on sustainable planting or sustainable community building directly tackles things like growth just hitting a wall or being too reliant on outside money or leaders.
Right.
By aiming for reproducibility, you foster communities that are, well, the classic terms are self-governing, self-supporting, and self-propagating.
The three-self model.
Exactly. Goes back to mission thinkers like Henry Venn and Rufus Anderson in the 19th century. It ensures the local group owns its mission, thrives on its own steam. They're not just receiving, they're generating.
And the book really hammers home this idea of contextual sensitivity, doesn't it? Making sure things fit locally.
Huge emphasis on that. It's about being adaptable, not pushing a rigid one-size-fits-all approach.
Can you give like a quick example? What happens if you don't do that?
Well, imagine trying to start, say, a community project using leadership styles or even communication methods from a totally different culture. It might just fall flat, feel alien, or simply not connect.
Like trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Pretty much. Velazquez argues you need to balance faithfulness to your core mission with real intelligence about local forms, local ways of doing things. That lets the whole thing genuinely take root and be owned by the people there. It fosters real local leadership.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So you've got this clear vision of success, reproducibility, and the need for local adaptation. What's next? Does he give us a roadmap?
He does. It's not just theory. He lays out a pretty practical, phased, goal-oriented framework.
Okay, let's unpack that. What are the key steps for planting something, a church, a community initiative, that actually lasts and multiplies?
Right. So it moves through 5 main phases, and they're all connected. Phase 1 is preparation. Exactly. Cultivating your own heart and mind, really understanding the mission, immersing yourself in the local culture, and honestly assessing your own calling, your readiness for this.
Okay, phase 1, prep. What's 2?
Phase 2 is proclamation. This is about sharing the core message, but doing it clearly, compellingly, and crucially in a culturally relevant way. It means listening, learning, really embodying the message within that context.
Adapting the delivery.
Right. Phase 3 is leadership development. This is huge. It's about raising up local indigenous leaders, people who get their own culture, their language intimately.
Not just bringing leaders in.
No, developing them from within. And the training needs to be ongoing, relational, and designed so they can then train others. Reproducible training.
Makes sense.
Phase 4. Phase 4 is the formation of a self-governing church body. Or, a self-sustaining community organization, establishing something that can manage itself effectively, biblically if it's a church, with principles like servant leadership, accountability.
Structure and sustainability.
Exactly. And then phase 5, which might sound counterintuitive, is wise exit.
Exit, like leaving.
Not abandoning. It's a planned strategic step. The goal from the beginning is to empower the new community to flourish without ongoing external support. The planter's job is eventually to move on, maybe to plant again, allowing the established group to truly own its future and, ideally, multiply itself.
Wow. Okay, so the goal is to work yourself out of a job, in a way.
That's a good way to put it. It ensures a legacy, not dependency.
What really jumps out here is you said the book gives actual tools for this. It's not just the phases, right? Can you give us a flavor of those? Are they like checklists or?
Yeah, it's very practical, very hands-on. He includes actual templates and instruments, things like vision casting sheets to help clarify purpose, 30-day prayer maps.
CRMAX.
Yeah, for focused spiritual groundwork, evangelism strategy builders to help tailor outreach. He's got 6-week discipleship plans for basic training. And yes, leadership apprenticeship blueprints like structured mentoring guides for developing those local leaders. There are even frameworks for planning that wise exit and tools he calls challenge audits to help teams figure out and tackle obstacles.
So really concrete stuff.
Very. He really insists these are not theoretical. They're tools developed from years on the ground, designed to equip people to build movements that actually replicate.
Okay, let's bring this back to the listener then. What does all this mean for you listening right now? Even if you're not planting a church, what are the key benefits or broader implications of thinking this way?
Well, there are several direct benefits. For those in faith work, it offers, as he puts it, theologically grounded confidence. But much more broadly, it provides real strategic clarity. That phased approach gives you measurable progress points, reduces confusion, helps teams pull together.
Clear roadmap.
Exactly. Plus, there's definite practical skill building from using those tools in communication, community building, leadership development, useful skills anywhere.
Yeah.
And finally, it helps build resilience. The framework anticipates challenges, resource issues, conflict, whatever, and helps movements navigate them, stay focused, even thrive under pressure.
That sounds incredibly useful across the board. But what about the bigger picture, the broader implications? How does this approach ripple outwards beyond just one project or group?
It has significant ripple effects. Villasis talks about how it can lead to cultural transformation. When these communities grow organically from within a culture,
They can address local issues more effectively.
exactly, social issues, economic problems, moral questions, they become catalysts for holistic change from the inside out. It also fosters generational impact,
How so?
because that focus on leadership multiplication and ongoing training means the mission, the values, get passed down effectively through generations. It's built to last.
Right.
And ultimately, it contributes to the larger global mission or goal, whatever that might be for an organization. It creates these networks of multiplying centers, achieving impact on a larger scale without relying on one central hub or external funding stream. It empowers local solutions for global challenges.
Okay, this is raising a really practical question for probably a lot of listeners. How can any group, any leader, or even just someone passionate about making a difference actually apply these ideas today, even if they're not starting something brand new from scratch?
That's a great question, and the book offers some clear applications for existing organizations, too. First, he says, prioritize multiplication as a central mission goal. Meaning see your current group not just as an endpoint, but as a potential launch pad for new initiatives. Think about how it could reproduce itself.
Okay, shift the mindset. What else?
Second, cultivate a culture of risk-taking and innovation. Encourage people to try new things, explore new areas, get out of the comfort zone.
Don't just stick to the tried and tested.
Right. Third, invest heavily in leadership development. Really empower your people, staff, volunteers, community members. Give them opportunities to lead and grow.
Build capacity from within.
Precisely. Fourth, reevaluate success metrics. This is a big one. Move beyond just counting heads or activities. Ask, are we making disciples? Are we developing leaders? Are we multiplying our impact?
Measuring what truly matters for reproducibility.
Exactly. And finally, fifth, stay rooted in foundational principles, whether that's prayer and scripture for a faith group or the core mission and values for any organization. Recognize that strategy alone isn't enough. You need that driving purpose, that passion.
What an incredible overview. It really feels like the core message is this fundamental shift, moving from just maintaining things to actually building a movement.
Yeah, from maintenance to movement, as you said. And as Villasis puts it, focusing on planting movements, not just building monuments.
Movements, not monuments. I like that.
And he's very direct about the book itself. He says it's not a book to be merely read.
What does he mean?
He calls it a manual to be prayed through, wrestled with, and acted upon. He stresses the urgency, saying, the harvest is ready, but it will not reap itself. It's really a call to engagement.
It absolutely sounds like it. He invites you, the listener, to dream beyond addition and embrace multiplication. He literally asks, will you answer the call?
And finishes with, the time to plant is now. The harvest awaits.
Powerful stuff. So as you listening reflect on this deep dive, maybe the question is, how could you engage with these ideas? How might you foster lasting, multiplying impact right where you are in your community, your work, even just your own personal growth? Something to think about.